Good to see you again.
Hi, it's a long time since I asked you a question.
Yeah, there you go.
To follow up, we've talked a lot about you can treat programs appropriately according to their size. How do you bring some of the speed and agility to those mega programs? Be it the Ford class carrier or the frigate or future surface combat. I mean, those are big programs that clearly people want them to take less time and cost less money too, but you can't treat them the way you treat off-the-shelf software. So how do you speed those up?
Yeah, so I think, again, not everything is the same, and if you treat everything the same, then we're not going to be successful. What I would say on these big mega projects is you're starting to see the era of digital come. And so when you start seeing now a ship that we have a full digital model of, I was just at one of the shipyards on Tuesday, and that enables you to do some really intriguing things on planning, down to the supervisor work package, inspection, as well as on repair. And so when you have this digital model now, in the one yard we had, the folks, workers that have been working on ships forever, starting to see this new technology and getting very creative on how to do things differently. And then I think, taking advantage of technologies that are working well and continue to refine them, and then looking for places where you need new technology, getting that balance right is a key part of these programs getting successful.
Yeah, which was digital. We're talking about from the inception, like in the R&D phase, you have models and
you have the entire ship digitally, which then allows you to both in planning how to construct it. But even as simple as if you're an inspector and you've got to inspect 6 different pipes, normally you get a piece of paper and then you've got to figure out where on the ship is that pipe and then run around to go find the pipe. Now you can put all the inspections together in a like area and very quickly inspect that. It could be that, if you have a tablet, you can look up at a way 2 pieces are coming together and actually compare it to the digital model to see if it as built compares.
Like an augmented reality over it.
Yeah, just augmented over, just like that. It could be when you put the steel plates together, you laser point where all the drill holes got to be. You do all that in advance, so that now you don't have to take a lot of time and have a lot of rework by figuring out with a jig where to drill the hole. You know precisely where that hole needs to be in advance. And so you're starting to see, we're starting to see on the second Ford carrier, huge savings. And I think that's just going to continue. And we've got to figure out how to get those kinds of technologies in so we can drive out the cost of these mega projects.
Understood. And the yard that was being very creative, was that Newport News on the Ford?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, hi, Ben Warner from USNI News, and just wanted to ask if you could talk a little bit more about the DDG Flight III contract.
Sure. So RFP is going out today. As you know, we're doing we got congressional approval to do a multi-year, and so that multi-year RFP is going out for the 2 shipyards to look at. We've got a mature Flight III design now, which is going to give us great lethality, great increases in lethality on those ships, and now we look forward to the shipbuilders, looking at how they can build those ships as effectively and as quickly as possible.
And getting back to kind of your comments about sort of speeding up the process, is it now that it's a mature design? Are you really looking for them to kind of figure out ways that they can, they know what they're getting, so now it's
Yeah, so I think everyone has we have a good idea of what we're trying to buy. We're going to buy, a multi-year so they can look over more than just one ship. And I'm very confident they will be creative in the competitive process to give us really good options for building those ships.
Hi, you talked about how you want to kind of increase the involvement with small businesses, move from 17% up. Do you have any specific areas where you think small business can really contribute more to the Navy, maybe like they did at SOCOM or differently?
Yeah, sure. I think it's, we've done some things in the Navy now. The deputy program managers, we've made the small business advocate in all the programs. So now small businesses have an advocate on a program much earlier in the process. That was one of our lessons learned from SOCOM, is you've got to find the right business for small business to excel at. And so I think we're doing some of that. I think as small businesses continue to show their ability to do larger and larger amounts of work, then that will give them some momentum. The 17% is a little misleading because it includes, we contract for all the F-35 It's actually a little higher if you take the F-35 out. But needless to say, I think there's a lot more opportunities, and particularly here at like AFCEA in the information technology area. That's really where the heart of a lot of innovation is in application development and in hardware development. And so as we look to meet the CNO's intent of networking the Navy, I think small business is going to be a key player in making that happen.
Thanks a lot, folks. All right. When did you do this, the deputy PMs becoming the small biz advocates?
That was started kind of prior to my time, but it's certainly something we've been re-emphasizing. And I do a quarterly review of all of our contracts with all of our contracting shops across the Department of Navy, and small business is a prime piece of that. So we take a look at how are we doing, are we impacting the acquisition strategies at the right point? And do we have the right mechanisms to reduce barriers? In fact, today I'm doing a panel at lunch with the CNO just with small businesses. To, I think there's certainly more opportunity for us to do better, and so getting feedback on where they're seeing obstacles and barriers will allow me then to adjust our approach to enable them to compete. And then we're also looking at our large programs, and are we directing the appropriate amount of small business content in those programs? Because even a large program, small business plays a critical role as numerous of our suppliers. And then I would say the final thing we're doing, we're looking end to end at our entire supplier base and really getting a good understanding of all the suppliers it takes to build these large programs. Because one of the challenges you can get into is if you have a supplier that doesn't perform or goes out of business. And so we're taking a much more proactive look at that. And then where we find some issues, then looking at how do we incentivize those small businesses to stay healthy. So as we look to meet the congressional direction to move to 355 ships, we've got the entire supplier base, not just the large shipyards. They're the final assembly to thousands of pieces and millions of pieces is created by small business.